Hey guys, Scott from Aristocob.com here.
And Seth from theshrinkingpastor.com. Pew pew.
And together, you and him and me, we are Markwood Men's Breakfast Club. Welcome back once again. Good morning, boy.
Good morning, Homer.
And you know what? We decided to go ahead and break into some of our CVS finds. And so I'm going to break into the Grand Duke, even though, again, this is like the unicorn of the CVS products. Oh yeah, because this is everybody was getting Savoys. This actually has handwritten on the back $32.89.
Wow.
I think I paid just under $9 for it. And we're coming out. Wait a second, what is it? It has free pipe cleaners. Call and receive your 2 free packages of Dill's premium pipe cleaners.
That's why everyone wanted it, for the pipe cleaners.
Hold on, I'm curious here. It probably has an expiration of like 1983.
Probably.
It doesn't say. 1 coupon per household. Sweet. We'll even pay the postage, it says.
I don't even get pipe cleaners.
Dang, son.
I can look in there, I can see. No pipe cleaners.
All right.
Well, that's what I get for getting the poor man's Savoy.
Let's see what this has got in it. I would imagine it's got... Oh, it does. It has a paper filter. Well, it had a paper filter.
As many of you, I'm sure, experienced, and this may come as a surprise, being the son of Mr. Aristocob, my first pipe was a Dr. Graybo.
That would make sense, wouldn't it?
Would it?
Well, look at this. Look at the carving on that, all done by machine. This was made in North Carolina.
Was it?
Sparta, North Carolina. And we are also going to smoke this just standard white Captain Black from Lane Limited.
You don't want to open this big old honk of tin?
No, we're good. We'll go for the pouch. Oh, and look at that. Feel that. For as old as that package was, there's so much
moisture.
There's so many chemicals in here. This will be moist after the big one drops.
After they stop selling propylene glycol.
Yeah. So
I have some things I'm going to be enjoying while we sit and chat. We went to Big Lots and got a couple of root beers. Now, I'm a fan of what?
Remember, there's a right way to break in a pipe and start smoking briar so you don't damage it. I'm loading this puppy up. I don't care.
I was going to say.
I don't care.
I'm sure that there is. I remember doing that with my Savinelli.
311. Oh, and I'm lighting it with my Laugh Out Loud
320. Lol. I'm a fan of some good classic root beer. So I thought, I can't imagine no better root beer than what they sell at Big Lots. So Frosty Diet Root Beer since 1939. And I'm going to be comparing it to Big Daddy size Diet Dad's Old Fashioned Root Beer. Both are diet root beers. Why, you might be wondering? Well, I typically drink diet soda, but specifically today, because I'm going to be enjoying some sugar with my diet root beer, I found these Warheads Liquor Dips, except they're sour dipping pucker packs.
Wait a second. Wait. All right. Where were these made? If these are made in China, you're not eating them. Made in Mexico, you have my blessing.
Yeah, it's fine. But look at all of the pixie dust.
So that's the level right there?
Wow. That's it. And these are sectioned off. So this. Oh! There's nothing in the green one.
Was that made by Lickamaids?
No.
I don't think so. The Lick-a-Stick.
There's nothing in the green.
Is my favorite part of the Lickamaids.
Favorite one. That is so disappointing. I've never had this, but green Warheads are my favorite. That is so disappointing. All right, as you were.
What do we want to talk about? I have a topic I want to talk about, but it's going to take some time up.
All right, let's do that.
We'll go ahead and do this. All right, so guys, I had an interesting phone call today from a buddy of mine who shall be nameless. Does it say Lick-a-Maid on Lick-a-Stick?
No, it's good. That's tasty.
Okay.
It's sour.
And so
here's sour watermelon.
Here's his
dipping stick. The sour watermelon dipping stick. This one is a sour blue raspberry dipping stick. It's amazing.
Is it raspberry? Or raspberry? So his friend calls me. He is...
or did he call you?
He called me. What does he call me? That's a funny question. I'm not... does he call me Markwood? Anyway, he calls me up and says, I have a dilemma. I could use your help with something. I said, all right, what's up? He said, no. He said that my in-laws have moved in with us. And it's going to be for an extended period of time. And I've got a dilemma. Okay, what's that? He said, my mother-in-law has incredibly bad gas. And I don't know how to broach the conversation with her that this is something we need to do something about. And I said...
Seem to have a problem broaching in front of him.
So, yeah, I know. Well, that's just it. I said, well, maybe she doesn't know, or maybe she's not aware that other people in the room are noticing. He says, Scott, she'll lean over on one cheek and let a big baroom go. He says, she is certainly aware. And his question was, how do I broach this with her? And so I said, after talking with him a little bit, this is the kind of topic that we should talk about here as a public service, as another very special episode of Markwood Men's Breakfast Club. So
I feel like I'm in an after-school special.
That's what I'm saying. So the very first thing, in his case...
it's going to end with someone telling me to be wary of the beatus.
In his case, we talked a little bit about the fact that, that can be a sign of a number of illnesses, and even colon cancer is something that people will get really bad flatulence, the technical term for that. Cutting the cheese is the other technical term. The slicing of the queso, as they say, south of the border.
Where this was made.
So I was recommending him take a look at, if they're cooking together, take a look at the kind of foods that they're buying. He says, "Oh, I've already gone through the refrigerator. There's cabbage, there's Brussels sprouts and broccoli." I said, "Dude,
I found your problem."
No, and no. Also, an interesting thing I learned from Alton Brown on Good Eats is, that your firm beans, the beans like lima beans and pinto beans that people seem to have problems with, that if you chew them properly before you swallow them, or if they're mashed like you get with refried beans, our bodies digest them better because our saliva gets a chance to go to work on them, our stomach acid can go to work, and that we digest them easier. That if you swallow beans like that whole or just partially chewed, you're going to have more gas.
Well, I remember from the gas we pass that it's not the beans. The beans cause the farting, but it's usually the meat that accompanies the beans that causes the stank.
Ah, very good point. Proteins in general are stankier, right? So,
but you may not have gas if you just eat a steak alone.
Well, it's
like the beans are a carrier.
The average person passes gas like 15 to 30 times a day, right? In some cases...
I save mine up for when I'm asleep. I'm sorry, wife.
Some cases we may not even be aware.
Yeah.
So my recommendation to him was that no matter what you do, especially with your mother-in-law, I'm considering his wife is very fond of his mother-in-law. In fact, they're very close. They've known each other for quite a number of years. That whatever you do,
don't say anything.
You need to approach it with dignity and respect. You have to remember that the goal here is to have a happy, loving home. And I recommended first talking to his wife.
Right.
And perhaps she could broach the subject.
Right.
He went on to tell me he had already talked with his father-in-law about it. Huh. And the father-in-law's response was, "I'm not talking to her about it. You talk to her about it."
Cool.
So that's not going to go over so well. But it just made me think of things like, I am that friend who, if a friend has got some green stuff between their teeth, I'm going to point it out to them, because you know what I would appreciate them do is if I have some green stuff with my teeth, to point it out to me.
Yeah.
And you can do that because you're looking after your bud. You can say, hey, you got a little, something right there. That's all you need to do. You don't have to embarrass them. But if you're talking about BO or bad breath, people that need to have dental work done, that's often a sign or that accompanies halitosis, the need for that. Of course, everybody knows that you should clean your tongue, and hardly anybody does when they brush their teeth.
Yep.
Pipe smokers in particular, we got some nasty breath. You wash some of that down with some coffee, makes it even worse. My grandson reminded me one evening that my breath stunk. He does this in front of his face to me. I need to go brush my teeth. I've also been using Smart Mouth mouthwash in addition to brushing.
Yeah, I haven't used that yet. I bought some.
It's interesting stuff. You take a couple, it comes in 2 bottles, and you take a couple pumps of one, couple pumps of the other. And when they mix, there's a reaction of some sort.
Like epoxy.
It's basically like epoxy.
It's supposed to be super duper, like lasts 12 hours.
12 hours, especially if you're using it regularly, it builds up its effect. My disappointment with it, I'd love to find an alternative to it. It's very expensive, and you go through it pretty quickly.
Really?
So I got to where I was using half as many pumps as they were recommending. It's like lather, rinse, and repeat.
Right.
It benefits the shampoo people that you repeat.
Right.
So anyway, I just thought, what would you say to somebody who is asking for advice on how to have an uncomfortable conversation? How would you go about broaching it?
I think your advice was good. You don't mind having uncomfortable conversations with people that you don't care about, right? because it's it's not awkward. It's just, hey, you're being stupid, or hey, your breath stinks, or hey, for someone that you don't know well.
Seriously?
Yeah.
People I don't know well, you think I'm going to have a conversation about their bad breath?
You might. You don't do that.
I am, I guess, quick to offer a breath mint. And the Markwood family rule there, never refuse a breath mint.
But along with that is the equally important rule, always take one before you offer one.
And never refuse free wood. Another one.
Not all of us share that wood wish. No, I think that there's a relationship spectrum where, pardon me, where when you barely know someone, you feel more comfortable broaching those topics because you don't care as deeply about hurting their feelings. And then as you get to know them more, you reach that stage where you don't want to hurt their feelings, but you're not close like that. You can't have those conversations and tell someone, hey, your breath is nasty, without being afraid of them finding that offensive. And then full on, you can say whatever you want, and you're comfortable enough in that relationship
so
to know
this is like an inverted bell graph then? So here, when you don't know the person, you're comfortable, then it drops down, and then back up once you have that familiarity with them. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if someone's coming out of the bathroom and they have toilet paper on their shoe, if it's a stranger, if it's someone at a McDonald's, you're going to say, hey, there's toilet paper on your shoe. Because you don't care so much about them being embarrassed by that. But if it's someone that you're dating, mother-in-law, whatever, you may just let it slide and hope the toilet paper resolves itself on its own before they notice. And then if it's your best bud, you're going to say, hey, you're going to laugh about it.
First, you're going to take a picture.
That's right. That's right. There's that difference in that relationship. So, especially in that middle area where you want to show honor to that relationship, I think your advice was good. You have to approach the subject in an honoring way. Excuse me. You have to do it with love. I think it's good looking at all of the possible reasons, and definitely talking with the wife is up there on things to do, because you don't want to tick off your mother-in-law without your wife knowing that you're going to be doing that.
That's true. No, but the other thing, and I wish that he hadn't spoken to his father-in-law first, because now you got the situation where everyone's talking about the mother-in-law
Right.
behind her back, and that could potentially be bad. So anyway, I'd love for your input on this. For me, if I should probably make a bullet list of things, but at the very, very top, I've shared with you guys my favorite Bible verse, 1 Peter 3:15, that talks about being we should be ready to share our faith to people who ask us about it, and when we do it with gentleness and respect, understanding that people have their own beliefs, and that you don't want to crush somebody as you're sharing your own faith. Well, in this case, I said I would work backwards from imagine her getting into bed after the conversation and thinking to herself, my son-in-law loves me.
Right.
He really cares about me.
Yeah.
Okay, now what's it going to take to get to that point? And that's where, how you want to work
Yeah, that's good.
to it. So,
Yeah, I think there's another verse in Scripture in Ezekiel where it talks about if an army's coming upon a town and the watchman at the gate says nothing and the army slaughters all the people in the town, their blood is on the head of the watchman, right? Because he didn't do his job and he didn't speak up when he should have. Said, but if the watchman says something, says, "Hey guys, we're army coming," and the town chooses to ignore that, then it's their own fault. I think what we can do in some of these situations is we can be so focused on fixing the other person that we either push the issue too far, or we don't say anything and just end up
everybody's miserable, right?
fester in that.
I mean, what would happen if he says nothing to her? Or let's go back to your Watchmen analogy. What if he says something to her and she ignores him, and then late one night at the cabin, she lets one loose by the fire and burns the cabin down, catching her polyester pants on fire.
Gotta buy a new cabin.
Yeah. So it's important that you have this conversation.
Yeah. Now, having had to have difficult conversations with people I care about, I know that with farting, if it's something you can live with, it may not even be worth the effort. But and with other things, it's worth speaking up if it's something that's serious enough. But then it's also important to recognize that once you've spoken up, you need to step back and continue to love that person, because they've heard you and they've heard your message. And the last thing they need at that point is to be berated with that, because nothing will damage a relationship faster than berating someone, even with wisdom. Even with wisdom or truth. So,
all right, so there you go. The more you know.
So, Dad's root beer has a funky taste. Frosty's is actually pretty good, which is surprising because it was cheaper. Warheads, disappointing in quantity. Very happy with the flavor. Very good. I'm going to be enjoying the sour blue raspberry.
And the Captain Black is Captain Black in a pouch. I mean, absolutely the same reason why it was moist after sitting on the shelf for 17 years is the same reason why it tastes like it has propylene glycol in it. And I'm definitely getting that.
Might as well be vaping.
Might as well be vaping. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a perfect example of a tobacco that I would leave out for a while, let it dry out for a bit before I would smoke that again. That's always been my solution. However, As we heard from Russ Ouellette, he said, it's a desiccate. Well, not a desiccate was the term he used. That propylene glycol doesn't just hold moisture, it attracts moisture. And his experience has been, in some cases, if you just open it for a short time, you may actually be adding moisture to the tobacco as opposed to drying it out.
Yeah.
So there you go. Take that for what it's worth. So I think we're going to wrap this one up. Guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And make it a great week.
Adios, muchachos.